All right, and welcome back to another episode of Across the Board. It is December 30th, Tuesday, not a Monday, a little different than usual, but we didn't get out an episode yesterday, and obviously we didn't get an episode out last Thursday because it was Christmas. So we've got quite a bit to cover, um, specifically in obviously the college football world. But yeah, well, let's get started. We'll start off with some college basketball. Um, Not much has happened over the past week because they slows down, takes a break around Christmas for college basketball. So not too many big games. We don't have a stress meter this week, or do we have games to look over from the last week? Did just want to mention that Villanova beating Seton Hall was the biggest game of last week on Tuesday. Um, that was big. But other than that, we do have some news that we want to go over that has been quite the topic over the past week. So, Easton, break that down for us.
Yeah, so I'm sure a lot of y'all know the good old draft pick from the 2023 draft is coming back to play college basketball at Baylor University. Bunch of news. I mean, this was a big surprise, but not the first time we've seen this year. Maybe not the first time we've seen somebody coming back, as in, we've had some European players. I think one of them signed to Ole Miss. Someone went to Illinois, joining rosters midseason. Um, But we did want to talk about this because this is just the ongoing issues of the nowadays the transfer portal, the NIL deals, everything going on, the rules, regulations. Um, I kind of want to get your thoughts on it first, Shane, before I kind of go into
Mm-hmm.
my feel of everything, and we'll get into what the NCAA president Charlie Baker said about 1 hour ago. But I kind of want to get your thoughts on how you feel about this and just kind of your idea of the whole situation with guys coming back from the European professional and NBA guys.
Yeah, um, man, I don't like it. Obviously, Baylor getting that guy wanting to just come in, be a starter. He's played an NBA game. Uh, no, I don't think I don't think it's right, per se. These are obviously I know we've had European players come in from leagues and they've played pro and they've come into college, but I think that's a little bit different. It's not, in America, it's not the NBA, it's not, what everybody's trying to get to. So I don't like it. I don't get the point of being able to go get drafted in the NBA, play a game in the NBA. I think that's the big part. Play a game, go to G League, and then say, "Hey, I just want to go back to college and play basketball." I don't like it. Not I mean I know MLB. I know there's a whole if you don't sign or NHL if you don't sign stuff like that, but these guys have been drafted and played in a professional game. Those guys haven't. So I don't understand the whole point of wanting to bring NBA guys basically into college basketball. That's not college athletics at that point. It's just all athletics. I mean, so I don't think it's fair to the college guys on the teams. I, I don't I don't think it's fair to the teams that don't have the money to get those guys or don't have the boosters to get those guys because look, not everybody's going to be able to just pay for a G League player. So I don't think that was fair. I don't think every expectation of seeing more guys coming in makes any sense to me. Um, it just I don't think it helps college basketball. It hurts it. I know already the incoming middle of the season guys from overseas and like Illinois per se having the guy come in and like these guys coming in midway don't help it already. It doesn't help college basketball. It doesn't make it any better. And so for this now to be happening with the NBA, I I think it's terrible. I don't think it's a good thing.
Yeah, and we talk about the fairness and these guys coming in and kind of want to backtrack to a point you talked about here with you know you have these guys coming in. I think it opens a door of opportunity for guys to test NBA waters, right? So a guy maybe played 2 years in college, enters the draft, gets drafted, or goes to a G League or signs, and he's like, you know what, I want to go back and play college ball.
Yep.
because of the eligibility rules and whatnot, he can do that. You know, and with all technicality, you look at,
Hmm.
I mean, think about LeBron for a second here, okay? Now, correct me if I'm wrong. He didn't play in college, right? Or is it 1 year at Akron? Or
One.
he played 1 year at Akron, or he didn't play at all? Okay. So
Yep.
so let's just think about this for a second. LeBron could play, he can get to 45 years old and just decide, you know what, I want to go play college ball again. I mean, realistically,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's there's nothing right about it, but that opens that door for that opportunity. So guys can go, okay, I want to go, they go declare for the draft, and he goes, I'm not, I'm not playing much, not my thing, I'm not ready yet, so I'm gonna go back and go play college, and with eligibility, you can. Um,
Yeah. It
bottom,
doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense in that matter because, like I was saying, like the MLB per se, you can go to the draft, you can get drafted, but unless you sign, you can come back. But if you sign, you can't. You can't come back to college. You can't come play. There's a line there. You can't sign and then expect to come back. There's no rule. There's not a rule in basketball that says that. So these guys who signed and then say, "Hey, we've dropped down to the G League," and just say, "Hey, let's go back." It doesn't make any sense to me. At least have the rule where if you sign with somebody, you can't come back, and just let them test the draft water. They already do that. They already test, where they're going to go in the draft. If they don't, then they, whatever. But you know, you say, "Hey, you're committing to the draft, and that's it. That's where you're going. That's where you're going to get drafted. That's what's happening. You're going to sign with a team." If it's college baseball, for example, different. You can say, "Hey, I'm going to test it, see where I am." Obviously, I know more players, whatever. You have a ton of players drafted in MLB. I get it, but at the same time, man, it doesn't make any sense to me how you can play an NBA game. You can play in the NBA against the best players in the world. I don't care if it's last minute buckets. I don't really care. You're playing in an NBA game, a professional basketball game, and you say, "Hey, well, I got dropped down to the G League because I'm a rookie and I just need some more help and a little bit, just I want to go back to college now." Like that doesn't make any sense to me. There's no benefit in the college athletic side of it for that to happen at all.
in this case, and then James Nagy, which is the guy who is, coming back. The bottom line is this: when you get drafted and you sign, you are then and there you are foregoing the rest of your college years. That's what that says. That's how it
Mm-hmm.
needs to be. That's the MLB way
Mm-hmm.
of it. Like that's when you sign, you're basically saying, hey, at the end of the day, once you
Yeah.
sign this contract, there is no more college for you, and you can't take the opportunity to do that. Again, that's been the madness of what's going on here, and John Calip, and this is kind of a little, just the madness of today. And then you talk about the transfer portal and things. John Calipari came out yesterday. I mean, and he gave his take on it. I mean, again, guys being able to transfer every year. Again, just I'm not a big fan of it personally. I don't. I mean, I think transfer
Mm-hmm.
portal's good at times, but going year after year after year, you got to think about it. Graduating, wanting to get a degree. If basketball doesn't work out for you, but for those guys, it just kind of seems like that's their path they want to take. That's just the madness of today's college basketball. And that being said, with this James Nadi situation,
Mm-hmm.
however, though, I wanted to get into what came out now an hour ago as we're recording this. So oh, I gotta pull it back up again because I lost it. So the president of the NCAA came out with a statement about like literally right now about an hour ago.
Yeah.
Charles Baker. So he said the NCAA has not and will not grant eligibility to any prospective or returning student athletes who have signed an NBA contract, including a two-way contract. As schools are
Mm-hmm.
increasingly recruiting individuals with an international league experience, the NCAA is exercising discretion in applying the actual prospective, and student athletes with experience in American basketball leagues are not at a disadvantage compared to their international counterparts. Rules have long permitted schools to enroll and play individuals with no prior collegiate experience mid-year. While the NCAA has prevailed on the vast majority of eligibility-related lawsuits, recent outlier decisions in joining the NCAA on a nationwide basis from enforcing rules that have been on the books for decades without even having a trial are wildly destabilizing. I will be working with D1 leaders in the weeks ahead to protect college basketball from these misguided attempts to destroy this American institution. Again, big. That just need to come out. And I think this is eligibility, and this goes to all sports. Look at college football. We've seen guys go 9 years. Diego Pavia trying to get more years in college football. I believe, was it Castellanos who wanted another year? That got denied. I think it was him. I think it was Thomas Castellanos who wanted another year.
Yeah.
But again, I think that's another topic.
Or Pavia. Pavia wanted another year.
We can run into that discussion for a while, and we won't go too deeper into that. But with these guys wanting the year, it's just, I feel like just ruining the game, granting them extra years. Again, in my opinion, the only time you should be given, and the only time you should be given your years, which I think JUCO, that's a fair one. Red shirt if you're not playing, or simply injury. I think, and there may be some more deeper things I'm missing out on, but if those three are base reasons for getting extra years, I think you should get your extra years. But if you're just wanting extra years just to college play, I mean, because you got what is it, Gunnar Stockton who's 25? Stetson Bennett, was another example. He was 25, right? Okay. Well, with that being said, you got 25-year-olds at the end of the day playing with 19-year-olds these guys shouldn't still be in college. Sure. And granting extra years to play, I just don't think it's right.
No, I totally agree with that. I think that's already a problem with, getting extra years and getting these guys to play for as long as they possibly can, because the NCAA basically just doesn't have anything to back it. I mean, man, they go to a lawsuit and they get beat every time. They don't win anything. That's just, hey, you want an extra year? Well, then just go take the NCAA to a lawsuit and you'll get an extra year, basically. You go to enough courts, somebody's going to say yes. So that's a problem that needs to be fixed, and I think it's something definitely for another day with a longer discussion, because there's so much to talk about there about what to happen. But specifically on the NBA part, again, all these coaches don't like it. Calipari coming out, Izzo coming out, Pitino coming out and saying all these things about how this just isn't right. This isn't college basketball. This isn't what it's supposed to be. And hey, and I just want to say, I don't blame the Baylor coach. I don't blame the player that's coming back. Nothing in that athletic department. There's nothing wrong with that. They weren't doing anything wrong. They were going by the rules. They were going by what they could do. And hey, why not bring a guy? If that's a possibility, then why not do it? I mean, yeah, if that's with the rules, within the rules, and that's not against the rules to bring an NBA guy to your team, then why not do it? Wouldn't you want the best guy? Wouldn't you want the best guys on your team? If that's a possibility, then you might as well take it. So I don't blame Baylor for doing this, because, hey, if I was a coach and that was a choice, then why wouldn't you? So, but again, these coaches didn't like it, and obviously that coming out today saying that they're not going to grant eligibility to those guys, it's good. I mean, it's good for college basketball. To keep it grounded. Yes, yeah. Next step is to look at college football and everything, but that's going to take a while. That's going to be a lot to take in and readjust and redo. But this is the right step. Finally, the NCAA is saying something. They haven't said anything basically for years now about this. So, finally something has been said, something has been done. I think it's the right choice. And, good luck to that guy in the NBA for sure. And good luck to the teams, but that just was a step too far in my opinion.
Yeah. And again, that's always a step. And again, I was looking for a step in the right direction. Yeah. I think in college sports the big issue, but I'm more looking towards college football. That's where you gotta get it together there, because
for sure.
The transfer portal out of coaches leaving way out of hand, and the time of their leave out of hand. Eligibility, giving guys years out of hand, and Gunnar Stockton or Stetson Bennett. I may be wrong about the years. Point of the story being, you shouldn't have 25, to 30-year-old guys playing with college kids. You know, and I think
I think the problem there is it's not so the age of guys playing per se, it's how long they can play within their years. So,
well,
like,
yeah,
I understand, like, J.R. Smith, for example, when he got done with the NBA, he wanted to go back to college, and he played golf at North Carolina A&T. I have no problem with that. He had 4 years of eligibility, whatever. There's no problem with that. I don't see a problem. Obviously, it wasn't his sport either. It's not him playing basketball, couldn't do, but, that's not, I don't see a problem with those things. But if you're saying you're someone like, you know, obviously Diego Pavia wanted another year. He didn't get that granted. And think like if you're just a player that has played 4 years, Diego obviously wasn't, but if you're just a player that's played 4 years at a university, hasn't redshirted or has redshirted and already used that redshirt 1 year. So you're a fourth year, fifth year player, and you're going, hey, I just want a sixth year, or I just want a fifth year because I just am playing good and I just want to do it. Raise my draft stock, something in that matter. I don't like it. It's those things shouldn't happen. College basketball too. If you're playing just to play, just to get your draft stock better and go, hey, why not? Don't think that should work that way. But again, stepping into we're stepping into the college football world here, and it's so much to be done, and that'll hopefully be fixed at some point. But it's good for college basketball to finally, for the president, take a step in that direction for that to be fixed, because hopefully this will lead into the college football world and what they can do. But again, that's so much of a conversation that we could probably cover that for a whole podcast someday if we wanted to.
Yeah, and again, I think good point brought up, and I think you checked me perfectly on what I meant to say. And again, it's not like you said, it's not the age. To me, it's more just the eligibility allowed to play. Because I mean, again, it's funny. I think we've seen punters in college football being 35. I mean, there's some old punters in college football.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's not really the age, just eligibility. Once you get your years, you're done. You can't keep playing. Well said there. But
Yeah.
with that being said, I'll hand it over to you and kind of just go for our games of the week. Because
Yeah. Well, stepping back into college basketball here. Just want to go over some games of the week. A lot of things happening in college basketball now. Really trying to take a step towards March. Getting exciting. Love the time, and all conference play has either started or about to start. So ACC starts tonight. Big East play starts tonight. Big 10, Big 12 conference play starts Friday, and then Saturday SEC play starts. So, and all the smaller conferences, other that I didn't mention, they either have started or they're about to start as well. So, yeah, a lot of interesting matchups, a lot of great matchups. Any conference game is great to watch. So, if you can watch any of them, go watch them. I don't care what game. But some of the big games for this week, just want to go over a few of them. Starting with tonight, there's two games I wanted to mention: Louisville versus Cal and New Mexico versus Boise State. Two big games, should be good. Louisville obviously is trying to keep up their good season so far, and then New Mexico, not really a team that's always pretty good, and always pretty good in Mountain West, but at the same time, most people don't really look at them. It's in Boise State, a good team as well, so should be a great game there. And then tomorrow, a couple games. Virginia versus Virginia Tech should be a great game, rivalry as well. Clemson, Syracuse, and UConn, Xavier, great game there. All three of those games must watch, I would say. And yeah, great conference games. Thursday, Bradley versus Belmont. The only game really, there's like 5 games on the schedule that day, but I did want to mention it. Belmont did lose. No, sorry, Belmont came back last night, I think, right, and won against Indiana State, I believe, by 1 point, something like that. Close game.
I think you're correct on that. I think I saw that yesterday. So
close game. Belmont's been playing great. Great team to watch out for there. But they play Bradley. Should be a great game as well. Bradley's a great team, always competing in that conference. So just one of the few games to watch. Huh?
Indiana State Sycamores beat them by 1 in overtime.
Oh, that was what it was. Okay, they beat them by 1. Okay. Yeah. Well, still, a great game in the MVC to watch and for them to participate in. So should be a great game on Thursday. Um, then Friday, a lot of games on Friday. Obviously, said Big 10, Big 12 play starts, and sorry, yeah, and so USC versus Michigan, big game. Uh, Michigan State versus Nebraska, even I think probably even a bigger game because Nebraska is undefeated. So
Gotta watch that
we'll
one.
really see what they're made out of. Obviously beat Illinois, but this is a whole different monster, so we'll see what happens there. Kentucky versus Alabama, great game. See if Kentucky can keep bouncing back with Creighton's back, and see if they can go on a run here to start SEC play. Villanova versus Butler, great game there in the Big East. Auburn versus Georgia should just be an interesting game. Put it on there because Auburn's been kind of falling. They've lost a few games in a row, or not in a row, but they've lost a few games in the last few games, last 5 or so, that they probably shouldn't have lost by as bad as they did. So we'll see if come SEC play if they can get it together. Georgia is now ranked in the AP poll, so big game for them. Tennessee versus Arkansas should be a great high scoring. Well, not really high scoring, and defensive side for Tennessee, but great game for Arkansas. See if they can get their way started, get a good start for SEC play. And then there's a couple. Those are on Saturday as well. Just wanted to mention that. Those last two. Sunday, Bradley versus Murray State. Great game in the MVC. Murray State looking like a great team. Should compete in that conference.
That's gonna be a fun conference to watch, man.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
really. It's funny. I like watching mid majors, but that conference I'm actually exceptionally excited to watch. And then I think there could be
There's a lot of good teams there.
There's I think there's at least 4 teams that could at least win the conference.
Oh,
I think,
definitely, at least.
And of course, that's, every conference is usually guys you can a lot of teams that could win it. But I think the MVC, if you don't, if you're not, especially if you don't watch the mid majors a lot, that'd be a mid major conference I'd watch.
They're going to be and they already started their conference play last week, and so they have a couple of teams already at the top. A couple we've mentioned: Bradley, Murray State, Illinois State, Northern Iowa, Belmont, teams like that. But yeah, should be a great conference to watch. So the Bradley Murray State game will be big.
Can't forget the A-10, man.
Well, yeah, I know. And then going to the next game, Seattle versus St. Mary's plays. Should be a great game, and well, for the WCC, that'll be a big game there. Seattle looking great this year. Pretty sure they're 11-2 or 11-3. They might have lost just the other night and lost in conference play. That's what they did. So 11-3 there versus St. Mary's, who obviously should be a contender in WCC against Gonzaga. They've looked great this year. They've been strong and playing great ball. So we'll see if that can continue for them. And then a couple games on Monday, just so y'all can know them before we come back and have another podcast. Nebraska versus Ohio State. Big game for them as well. If they do end up beating Michigan State, could be really interesting to see. First 2 games could start out really well for them. And then speaking of Michigan State plays USC. 2 back-to-back big games for Michigan State, 2 back-to-back big games for USC, because like I had mentioned, they play Michigan on Friday. Their first 2 games for conference play. Michigan State. Feel bad for USC, especially with not all their key players obviously being healthy throughout the year so far, but maybe come, conference play, maybe they just kick it into gear and do something. We'll see. Yeah, those are just some big games for the week that I wanted to mention. They all should watch. Again, a lot of conferences are starting conference play, so go watch any of them. There's a million games on. There's a million games that are going to be great. I can't name all of them. A lot of smaller games, too, in the mid-majors that are amazing as well. So if you can find one of those random games on ESPN, ESPN+, go watch them because all of them are great. Mm-hmm. But moving on now, I think the big topic of the week as well, other than the college basketball news, is, college football. Like always is basically every single week for, so many weeks out of the year, but second round of playoffs. First round of playoffs, we talked about that, and now into the second round of the playoffs. A lot of big matchups, a lot of big games, and we kind of just want to preview those. But before we get to that, do want to mention a couple things that happened this week. First of all, Michigan hiring a coach. Finally, after Sherrone Moore got fired, they figured out something, and I think this is kind of the surprising move. I don't think like in a sense of I don't think people saw it coming, but Kyle Whittingham being hired as the Michigan head coach.
I genuinely thought that dude was done, and then, well, you know what?
I think most people thought so as well, but he never actually said he was going to retire. He just said he was going to leave Utah. So, and then he said at the beginning of the last week that he wasn't actually going to retire, and that was before he was named as a front runner for the Michigan job. So maybe that was saying, hey, just watch out because I'm going to be hired here soon. Because then a couple of days later, obviously he gets hired by Michigan, and man, that's it's a big deal.
I like to say they did a little background check on his Instagram page to make sure too. They did a little background.
I saw that. I did see. I saw that. That was funny.
Everyone know there's a good background check. He's all cleared. He's ready to go.
Yeah, that was pretty funny to see. But big hire for Michigan. I think it's really interesting. Great coach. He can coach really well. He's done good at everywhere he's been. And man, I don't know how long he'll be at Michigan, whether it be like 5 or 6 years probably. I think they can do great things, especially if he can keep Underwood there, keep him from transferring. Also big as well. If he can do that, man, I think this Michigan team could be good and they can compete in the Big Ten again for sure. Because Kyle Whittingham's a great coach, man, and he can coach some great teams. So we'll see how that works out for them. Obviously, they've got to get some transfers in and everything and keep a couple guys, but we'll see what he can do. And then the other thing we're going to talk about on top of, obviously, Michigan needing transfers and stuff is the transfer portal. Obviously.
Quick. Sorry, I meant this earlier, but Chip Kelly was hired at Northwestern. He's going to be the new offensive coordinator. He obviously got fired, he got fired from the Raiders this offseason. He was OC for the Ohio State Buckeyes the year before in the national championship team. So good hire for them. I thought I'd just mention that because they obviously lost their head coach because he went to Michigan State. But good hire for them, and hopefully they can succeed in the Big Ten.
Yeah, that should be interesting to see. Maybe Northwestern would be on the rise again, have a couple of good seasons. Potentially. Who knows? But now we'll talk about the transfer portal. Obviously, another big thing in college football now. A ton of guys expecting to enter. Obviously, transfer portal opens January the 2nd here in 3 days. So that'll be big. That's a big deal. We'll finally see where guys are actually going to end up and if all these guys actually enter the portal. Because, again, they're only expected. Things could change. Who knows? They decide just to come back or not. But a lot of guys have entered. Can't name all of them. We'd be here for the next week. But wanted to say just a couple of big names that entered. Number one. He's number one in the transfer portal list now, and it was surprising as heck yesterday. Cam Coleman entered the transfer portal. Wide receiver from Auburn. Huge deal.
Very huge, and not to mention the amount of guys that are already, I know you'll mention the guy, you'll mention Deuce Knight in a minute, but the amount of guys leaving, which is, and to me, is kind of surprising. I know we both talked about it before coming on here, but I mean, Alex Golesh, not a bad coach. It just makes you wonder. And we talked about, and you talk about too, it's a lot of them on the offensive side. The defense has been good, and of course, as good as they've been, I'm not surprised that they're staying where they're at, coaching wise and everything. But offensively, it's been a lot of offensive moves. Now, we believe Alex Golesh is the offensive guy, and we may be wrong about that, but still, it's kind of surprising to me. And
yeah, for sure. Obviously, Cam Coleman entering. There had been some reports that potentially he could, but people didn't really believe it. And obviously, a couple days before that, Singleton entered and threw up or Malcolm Simmons. I think it was Malcolm Simmons that said "Roll Tide," and people were all on fire about that because you don't say that as an Auburn guy. But again, Cam Coleman entering, man, big deal. Great wide receiver. Obviously, top of the list now in transfer portal guys of who you can get. I've seen some reports that maybe he has some ties with Texas and Texas A&M, maybe Alabama, even going to Alabama. That would be a major switch up. But again, nothing we haven't seen. Good enough to go there as well, so who knows. Also, just wanted to mention, not many people have, but his wide receiver coach did go to, and major recruiter did go to Florida. As a Florida fan, I'm not expecting him to go there. But again, if that could happen, it'd be amazing. Did just want to bring up the news, though, that all those guys, all those wide receivers, their wide receivers coach or potentially major recruiter for them as well went to Florida. So maybe we could see a couple guys go there as well. Probably not Cam Coleman if I had to guess. But who knows? But speaking of the next guy that came from Auburn that could potentially go to Florida, just reports that there might be, is Deuce Knight entering the transfer portal today. Yeah, I know you're giving me the side eye there, but Deuce Knight entering the transfer portal. There were reports yesterday by the way that he commented on Cam Coleman's post about transferring that people thought that he could as well. But again, not many people expected it because he's, well, probably going to be the starter more than likely, or at least fight for the starting spot at Auburn.
Yeah, and I think I'll say this. I think the big factor of him transferring is, I think, Byron Brown. And I mean, we don't. I mean, he could very well be better than Byron Brown, but you got to think about it. That's out. I mean, that's Alex Golesh's guy. I mean, yeah. and I mean, I wouldn't say that, doesn't mean anything, but it kind of does at the same time. I mean, that is his guy.
Sure.
And we don't even know whether for sure. That's core speculation, but it kind of seems like that'll kind of be the narrative. He'll go to Auburn.
More than likely.
I think Deuce is like, well, I think I'm going to see if I can, make way somewhere else. And of course, his one start, he played Mercer, but he played well. So I'm very excited.
He played amazing.
And you got to think about it. You have Deuce Knight, Ashton Daniels, and Jackson Arnold. That's three of their quarterbacks all going.
All three that played this year. That's the key thing. It's not just three of their quarterbacks. It's all three guys that played any snaps this year. The only two guys they have left on the roster are two guys that haven't played. So that's a big deal for Auburn. Like you were saying, and I was talking with you about this beforehand, was Auburn's lost a ton of guys on the offensive side. I think basically all their starting wide receivers have said that they're going to enter transfer portal. The one guy you do not want to lose as an Alex Golesh being Cam Coleman leaving. And then I think their starting running back is transferring. And then obviously, like you said, all three of their quarterbacks, this is big. I don't know what's going on at Auburn. Obviously, you can see a lot of guys. We're going to see a lot of guys transfer in. Like you said, probably Byron Brown's coming in. Singleton, USF's great wide receiver, also in a transfer portal earlier today. Could he be going to Auburn as well to join his quarterback? Easily could be. Auburn is a big name. They have the money to bring guys in. They're going to get guys. But it's surprising with how many guys are leaving, especially on the offensive side when Alex Golesh is coming in.
Yeah, and I think the quarterback guys, obviously Ashton Daniels, Jackson Arnold, and Deuce Knight. Byron Brown coming in. I mean, again, we don't even know for sure. It's just speculation, but it seems like that's kind of what's going to happen. I think for them, they're like, I guess it kind of makes sense. But other guys, to me, I'm a little surprised by,
Yeah, well, I think Deuce Knight is Cam Coleman's obviously really surprising, but at the same time, people kind of could see why he would transfer because he's so good. He can go play somewhere else and be even better and compete for a national championship. He could go win a Biletnikoff. He could go, whatever. Anything he wants to do, he could probably go do somewhere else. The surprising one for me about Deuce Knight is the fact that, yes, even though Byron Brown could be coming in, Deuce is a freshman and Byram's a senior. So even if he sat for one more year, if he redshirted, there's no problem. Deuce would still have 3 more years left and, or 2 more years left, and there would be no debate about who would start after Byram. So, that's my only thing. Or he could even, who knows, he could have been better than Byram coming in if that's the case that he actually does come in. He could be. And I know you don't want to wait till that time because obviously you can't transfer out then. But I think it's surprising to me because how Deuce Knight, how good he looked and what he looked like playing and what could possibly be the case of starting quarterbacks going forward and what Alex Golesh has done with a quarterback like him in Byron Brown at USF. That kind of surprised me. At the same time, it kind of makes sense too. You have a senior guy coming in; it's more than likely going to start because he's been in the system. He's gone over the coach. He knows him. He knows what to do. But again, big news. Some of the also just to mention some of the places that people have said he could go. A Deuce, Florida, Ole Miss, a couple of them. I think I can't remember all of them. Maybe Texas A&M, something like that was the other one. But could be big as well. As a Florida fan, would love to see him. But at the same time, whatever. Again, two big names from Auburn to be mentioned leaving. And then get on some other guys. John Henry Daly, the edge from Utah, entered the transfer portal. Probably could see him going to Michigan. Could imagine following his coach. He's second ranked in the transfer portal, guys, so that's big as well. Caleb Hawkins, the running back from North Texas, entered the transfer portal. Literally, I think, not even jokingly, like 10 minutes after the game. Interesting, but hey, if you're going to do it, you're going to do it, I guess. He'll be a good name for somebody to get. He'll probably go SEC if I could imagine, or he could follow his coach at Oklahoma State as well. They've had, obviously, good running backs in the past, so would be surprised. Yeah. Couple other ones to enter. Jaden Woods, an edge for Florida. Great freshman. Amazing guy. Amazing player on the field. He played great, so he should go somewhere. He will go somewhere that'll be good. He'll start wherever he goes. So another big name. Carius Kern, freshman from LSU. O lineman, also a big name as well. Entering transfer portal.
A big concern for LSU. There's guys entering the. I think we've had.
Five? Is it 5 or 6 now that offensive linemen that have entered?
1 to 6 that's going to enter the portal. Again, here's the issue. I'm concerned again. Last year we brought in guys from the portal. The offensive line wasn't great, and guess what? We're going to do it all over again. And I'll tell you what.
Just hopefully it's better than last year. Man,
I don't know. I mean, I would say it can't get much worse than last year, but shoot, it very well could.
You have Lane Kiffin now. You should be able to bring some guys in, right? I mean, that's what you think. But who knows? Obviously, a lot of guys leaving from that offensive line for LSU, so it'll be interesting to see. Nick Marsh, I don't know if we mentioned him last time, but wide receiver from Michigan State. Great wide receiver.
I think he was one of the top. I think he was first at one point until, of course, now Cam Coleman.
He was one of
the
top wide receiver. He was, I think, the top wide receiver before Cam Coleman entered in the transfer portal so far. So that'll be big for whoever picks him up. Maybe he goes to a bigger Big Ten school. Maybe he goes SEC. I don't know.
I've seen a couple reports that he could go to LSU. I think
I did see that as well.
But I don't know for sure. Either way, he's a top receiver in the portal for sure.
For sure. Omarion Miller, other wide receiver that entered transfer portal this week. That's big from Colorado. He was the second wide receiver in wide receiver ranks in the transfer portal, obviously, before Cam Coleman. That would be big as well. He'll go start somewhere, probably go SEC. I don't know. All these guys could go SEC. I mean, that's just where people want to go nowadays. So I guess we'll find out. Deuce Knight coming at 20th in ranked players. A couple of guys for Iowa State have entered. Not just a couple. I believe if let me rephrase that. I believe reports have said that they only have 17 guys on their roster right now. 17 guys on their full roster. One starter returning as of now. That is insane. I know Matt Campbell goes to Penn State, and a lot of them will follow him, whether it be Rocco Becht or Benjamin Balmer or any of those guys. But absolutely insane to lose that many guys on one team. That's basically what we saw with Marshall last year when their coach went to Southern Miss and they didn't have a team to fill out the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's why it's decided to, drop out of their bowl game, but because they expected this to happen. But man, losing basically a full team, that's insane. Next head coach, good luck to you. That's all I can say.
I
Terrell
think
Anderson, wide receiver from NC State as well. Huh?
it was Jimmy Rogers, the Washington State guy.
Yeah.
Unless that's
Yeah.
all man. Yeah, he's like you
Hey,
said.
good luck to him. He's got a lot of guys to fill. That's
From
for
me to
sure.
you, we wish you the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wish you the best.
Yeah. Terrell Anderson, another wide receiver from NC State entering. Jay Crawford, a cornerback from Auburn. Those guys both good. Another wide receiver, Wyatt Young from North Texas. Yeah, just a couple of those guys. Looking through here, making sure I didn't miss anybody else. Oh, big name also, Trey Wisner from Texas in the transfer portal. They've lost like 3 guys, I think, to the transfer portal. Expected to lose 3 running backs to the transfer portal. That'll be really interesting. Trey Wisner has been great. He's a junior. He should go start somewhere. I've seen reports of maybe, a couple teams that maybe need running backs potentially go into Florida if Jaden Ball leaves, go into even LSU, I think, was one of them. Stuff like that, DeAndre Moore Jr., wide receiver for Texas, also expected to enter. Big names there. Chase Sowell, another Iowa State guy that entered, wide receiver. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Out there, said he wasn't going to leave, and then, well, yeah, he lied. He left us.
Did.
But good for him.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's yeah.
He's most recent things we've seen. He could go to FSU or Tennessee. He's played well. I mean, I think
Did see that.
it's one thing about Mountain West schools and a lot of G6 group of 6 schools or group of 5.
Yeah.
When he led the Mountain West in a lot of categories. Quarterback. I mean, he's just a good player, and when you get good players at that level, they're going to move on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't blame them.
Yeah. I mean, you've seen it with JMU losing a lot of guys with their great team. I think all but I think it's 1 or 2 starters that have played or coming back, or I think all the guys on the offense are either entering the transfer portal or graduating something. So again, we've seen it with them. A lot of the Tulane guys are leaving. A lot of these, obviously UNLV, Boise State, these group of 5 programs, man, they're going to become basically just the boiling pot for good players for the better teams. That's basically what they already are. But you see with all these teams, even with group of 5, these group of 5 teams making the playoffs, they don't want to stay there. Whether it be Tulane or JMU, they made it to the playoffs and they're still saying, hey, well, we're going to go because we've showed our ability now. We can go somewhere else because we're good enough. So it's going to happen. And that's it's disappointing for group of 5 teams, but it's basically what it is.
You can't expect to be. You can't have the expectation that when you have a good player, they're going to stay. It's just how it goes. They play well, they're going to move on to a better school. I mean, it's just how it is. I mean, it's just how it's part of college football. It's part of how it goes, man. But
yeah, it's going to be disappointing for those guys, but it is what's going to be, and so we'll see where those guys end up. Also wanted to just name the other wide receivers from Auburn that had transfer portal. Obviously, Malcolm Simmons. He was the guy that said "Roll Tide." People didn't like that, and then Perry Thompson being the other wide receiver. So who knows for Auburn? We'll see what happens. But yeah, those are just some guys at transfer portal. Again, can't name all of them. If I missed some names or some big guys, or even if something has happened within the past probably hour, I haven't seen. I can't name all of them. There's a million of them. But again, coming in the few days, January 2nd, the portal actually opens for 2 weeks. And we'll figure out where all these guys are going. I mean, we'll have a million moves to figure out, and we'll have a million things to talk about. So don't worry. The transfer portal talk is only starting. We'll be talking about that for the next probably, 3 weeks. So, yeah, now moving on to the, big thing of the week that we'd already hinted to was the college football playoff. Second round. Big deal. Here you can see the second round games. Quarterfinals. Starting tomorrow. First game. Miami, Ohio State. Play tomorrow at 6:30. huge game, and man, Cotton Bowl for them. Miami getting back to deep into the playoffs after winning a really ugly game against Texas A&M. They get to play the reigning national champions in Ohio State.
Well, I mean, again, it's going to be an interesting game. I mean,
Yeah,
the thing is this, and this is one of those things that with now, and I think this is something that college football's got to fix in the future is the scheduling of these games. As in, I'm talking the buys, and like what I mean by this is like once Selection Sunday came around, they had to wait a whole nother week before they could play, as in like the first round games. So
true.
when you get to these buys, I mean they haven't played a game in how long?
Well, Ohio State being Big Ten championship.
Yeah,
All
I'd
these
say
teams being, their championship games in what, 3 weeks? 2.5 weeks?
mhm. It's been a
I,
while.
yeah.
I mean, they may be well rested, but also it can backfire a little bit. I know,
Yeah.
me watching a lot of hockey. You see it sometimes when teams get, by or when a
Yeah.
series finishes
Mm-hmm.
early. You're waiting. I mean, it can hurt a team a lot. So
I think the biggest representation of that was last year. Every team that
all
sat
four,
lost. Every team that had a bye lost.
yeah, that's and
It could happen this year. I mean, I would say I don't expect it to happen this year, but it easily could because we don't know what. Because again, like you said, it's hard to sit for this long and not play a game. Yes, they're good. Yes, they get guys back, all that. But these teams that have already played, you know, they've played. They're still in that rhythm. They won a game. They have something to come off of. A team like Ohio State has been sitting on a loss. Ohio State has been sitting on a loss. Now, again, we saw that last year. They lost their last game, but they played the first round and then blew through everybody. This year's different in the fact that they didn't play a first round game. Instead, they've lost. They've been sitting on it for 2.5, 3 weeks, and who knows? Maybe they come out flat. Maybe they come out hot. We'll see tomorrow night. It's just, yeah, it's an interesting scheduling deal with those games for sure. I don't think it should be this far apart because playoffs shouldn't take 4 weeks to play.
they
I
should.
don't like that.
They should, and I mean we can we can talk about all the scheduling issues and whatever. We'll definitely get to that probably more this off season. Talk about changes, but as in for the game itself, I think a lot of us are. I wouldn't say a lot of us. I feel like after watching Miami and Texas A&M last week, I feel like a lot of people are jumping on Ohio State. The thing is, it's a playoff game. You just never know.
Sure.
Um, I'll say this, and this is straightforward. Miami's offense is going to have to play better.
Yeah.
But it's going to be a tough test again. I think a better defense. They're going to play a better defense.
For sure. I think that's a key thing for them as well. A big deal in this game is what can their offense do, but also what can their defense play as good as they did against Texas A&M? Is Ohio State a little bit different in the way that they operate the offense and can run the ball really great if they can, but they also have Julian Sayin and then great wide receivers and Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate. So a little bit different, same great players obviously taking up the spots like Texas A&M, but a different way of operating. And we'll see if that gives a little bit of a problem to Miami or not, or if it's just their defense still shows up. And if it does, then that's great. And they have a chance to win this football game. If offense can just run, better than they did against Texas A&M, because they can't do what they did against Texas A&M and expect to beat Ohio State. Ohio State can score. Yes, we saw Ohio State not score too many against Indiana, but
That's
I would say Indiana's line and Indiana's defense is probably better than Miami's.
it is.
I would say at least. I know Miami, not saying anything to demote Miami's defense because they're great, but I think they are a little bit better, and their schemes that they run are a little bit different. So for Miami, it's can they play that great defense, and then can they also? We said it last week. Well, in the last game, can they get the ball to Malachi Tony as many freaking times as possible? Many times.
I mean, and Mark Fletcher too. I mean, I think The ground game got going late in the second half last week. It's got to happen again.
Yeah.
Malachi Tony, your best player, get it in his hands. Mark Fletcher, get it in his hands. Carson Beck's going to have to play well again, or he's going to have to play better. I wouldn't say he played great last week, and I'll tell you this: you're going to have to score more than 10 points to win this game. I feel very confident in saying that.
Yeah.
You're going to have.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you're going to have to play. You're going to have to score more points. Again, I think, like you said, Malachi Tony, feed him. Mark Fletcher, feed him. Carson Beck, take care of the football. He took care of it last week, and they ended up winning the game. This week, again, you're gonna have to take care of the football. And I know we mentioned it previewing their game against A&M last week. We talked about it. If he took care of the football, they can win games. When Carson Beck takes care of the football, that's when he's at his best. But he has to take care of the football. Ohio State, they're going to play well. I think Ryan Day, as we will expect, will have his team ready to go. Miami's going to have to play spectacular football. I mean, they're going to have to show up. They want to beat Ohio State.
Tomorrow night. Yeah. It's going to be a game. It should be a fun game. And talked to a Miami fan the other day. Obviously, Miami fans are going to want Miami to win, thinking Miami can win. And I kind of brought up what they had to do. And at first, he disagreed, obviously, saying Carson Beck taking care of the ball isn't as big a deal because that's any team in the planet. And that is true. It is any team. But at the same time, we've seen Carson Beck in these big games kind of give up things. Texas A&M proved differently. He kept the ball, it was fine, but their offense didn't really run effectively. Carson Beck will have to make sure that he does that and keeps the ball protected. But at the same time, again, could be any team for sure. If that offense can run efficiently, though, by him not making mistakes or anybody else making mistakes, it'll come really difficult against the Ohio State team who can score, who has a great defense, and who can do anything that Texas A&M could do, and if not better. So, as bad as they played against Texas A&M and still won, like we said, they can't do that again and expect to win. And I know I've heard that this game is more than just this game, and I know in 2002, Miami, Ohio State played, huge game, championship, and there was some bad calls potentially, and Ohio State beat them and everything. And talked to a Miami fan the other day. I know he said this was as big of a deal for that as well. I don't see it as much in that as I do as this is just a big game because of the fact this isn't the first time they've played since 2002. No discredit to him. It is a big game because maybe they still do hold that against them. I know Miami fans do, but that was 23 years ago. Most of these guys weren't born. They don't know about this game. I don't expect them to be playing this game in the locker room saying, "Hey, we got to revenge this," because they played a home series in 2010, 2011. Miami fans, correct me if I'm wrong. I don't really care. I don't think it's as big of a deal because of the fact that you're playing the reigning national champions. You're still going to have to play a great ball game. No matter who you're playing, it doesn't matter. 23 years ago isn't going to have any difference to Ryan Day and his squad coming out and competing and trying to win this game.
The significance of this is winning the national championship. I mean, that's your significance. I don't think anything. I mean, I'm on the page with you. I don't think it's really about the past. I mean, if you really want to look at it that way, you can. The big significance is, hey, you know what? We won a national championship. We want to hold up that trophy at the end of the season. That's all you got to be focused on.
You're playing the reigning national champions. That's the other part. You're playing the reigning national champions. These guys have done this. Ryan Day has done this. They're a good ball squad. You're going to have to go play them fair and square. That's it. Moving on to the next games come Thursday. Obviously, first game of the day, the Capital One Orange Bowl, and that being Oregon and Texas Tech. I think could be the best matchup of the second round. Just going to put that out there. I think it'll be the most electric.
I'm excited. I've already, I told a lot of people. I mean, it's gonna be really exciting. I mean, I think it's one of the most interesting matchups that we're gonna see.
It'll be interesting to watch for sure. Offenses, great offenses. They've run them great. I know Morton. kind of had a couple of had an injury after that last game in the Big 12 championship, and he was in a boot for a little bit, but he's fully pricing now. He seems to be healthy, hopefully 100% come the game on Thursday. That offense can run. It can just run the score up. They can throw the ball great. They can run the ball great. And then you look at this Oregon side, and they can do the same exact thing, if not better. They got their wide receivers back in the JMU game. You saw what they did. Obviously, I know it was JMU, but you saw what those wide receivers can do. You saw what not Dylan Gabriel. Wow. You saw what Darian Moore could do. Dante Moore could do. Dante Moore could do with this offense. You saw that they can run this great. You saw that they can run the ball, throw the ball, do all the things that Texas Tech can do as well. I think this could be a light show in that sense of just having the biggest scoring game. Or it could not be. We could prove this wrong and be the complete opposite because Texas Tech's defense is amazing. That mustache squad, linebacker group, great group. They'll be tested. I think that's the big key for Texas Tech is this is the biggest test they've had all year. Obviously, but this is the biggest test on the defensive side that they've had all year. BYU was great, but they had injuries and they don't have the guys and the dudes that play on Oregon. They don't have these 5-star wide receivers. They don't have Dante Moore running the ball. They have to step up and see if they can step their game up to as high of a level as Oregon will play because it's different. It's unlike anything else they've played. They're playing a coach in Dan Lanning who does not take anything. It doesn't take a little speck of just not good. He was not happy after the JMU game. I know they won, but he said they just let 34 points put up on them on that defense. Oregon's defense looked terrible. They let 95 plays or 509 yards on them. It's insane. Now, obviously, you got to give credit to the offense because they were scoring so many points that the defense was having to come back on the field so quick and play so much. But at the same time, if that's what's going to happen, and if that's what happens in this Texas Tech game, they're going to have to step up at times because you saw what a good offense in JMU could do. Now, put a better offense in Texas Tech against that defense, and that's really going to be the key decider for Oregon, whether or not they can win this game, is can they get stops? If they can, and Dan Lanning has coached them up the last week and said, hey, we have to go do this and we can't let this happen again, then I think Oregon can win this football game. But at the same time, if he can't, you let Morton throw the ball around the field to all his good wide receivers that he has. It could also be trouble for them as well.
You say everything about as perfectly as can be. I don't really know what else you want me to say.
I did want to ask, though, because we didn't do it for the last game. Your prediction, who would you say is going to win the Ohio State-Miami game?
I'm going to take Ohio State. I know last week's game may not be how Miami's going to play. I just think Ohio State's well-rounded. I think they're just a better team. They just are a better team. I think defensively they're gonna. I think they're just gonna play like A&M. I think they're gonna play defensively well. I think Miami's defense will hold up, but I don't think it'll hold them to 3 points. I think they're gonna play that well.
I think the same thing. I think Ohio State's defense. I think unlike Texas A&M, they'll get Carson Beck kind of just off tempo. I think a turnover will happen in that game of some sort. That'll be big. And maybe it's in Miami's favor. Who knows? But I do think Ohio State pulls this off. I think Julian Sayin leads this team with Jeremiah Smith and Cardinal Tate. I think those are going to be the key factors. I don't think Miami can guard them. I know their defense is great. I know they have good cornerbacks. But guarding those two guys is a whole different ordeal. Whole different task. I don't think that'll happen. I think that'll open up the run game for Ohio State and a couple of those running backs like Bo Jackson. I think they'll run through. I think it'll be kind of just maybe not per se an easy game for Ohio State. I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think it will be a close game. But I do think Ohio State just solidifies that they still can go win a national championship, and that the Indiana loss a few weeks ago does not hinder them in any sorts. Now, moving on to the game we just talked about in Oregon and Texas Tech, who do you think wins that game?
Well, I'm gonna have to stick to what I said a long time ago, but I'm gonna take the Red Raiders. I'm gonna take the Stash Squad to beat Oregon, but Oregon could very well beat them as well, as we know. Um,
Fair.
Defensively, I just think defensively Texas Tech is the better team. I think Dante Moore in this offense, I think will have a little bit of a struggle getting the ball down the field. They put up 51 on JMU. I don't think it happens again. I think Texas Tech defensively is going to play good defense, and their offense will get going. Oregon's got a good defense as well, but I just think Texas Tech is going to play good ball. I I think they're the better team. So I think they're going to beat Oregon. It's going to be a close game, but
True.
it'll be close.
Yeah. I man, I picked Texas Tech earlier when we did this, and that was who I thought would win this game. But after seeing Oregon play JMU and that offense run as effectively as it did, it scares me a little bit for Texas Tech, just because I know they have a great defense and I know they've played up to their level and their standard all year. But playing BYU is way different than playing Oregon. And as good as their defense has looked against the biggest games that they've played, the biggest games they've played is nowhere close to this Oregon team. And I think that Dan Lanning wants his revenge from last year. Came in last year as the 1 seed, sat and then lost. They don't want to do that anymore. They don't want to do that again. They don't want to lose another game in the quarterfinals. They don't want to do it. I think Dan Lanning gets his defense ready. I think Tosh DuPois is their defensive coordinator. Gets their defense ready. They play better than they did against JMU. They don't let up that many yards. I think they kind of stuff this Texas Tech team maybe a little bit later in the game. I think it will be close, really close. I also think it will be a high-scoring game, but I think Oregon's defense does the unthinkable than what we saw against the JMU team and actually stops Texas Tech's offense later in the game, and they win this game close. It could be a 38-31 game for, like you had said against Miami Texas A&M. It could be the complete opposite. It could be like a Miami Texas A&M game. For all we know, it could be. But I think Oregon can pull it off. I think their offense is just, man, it looks so great against JMU, and I know it's JMU, but it looks so good and it ran so effectively, and they finally had all the key pieces that they haven't had in a while. I think that makes the difference. And I think these Texas Tech cornerbacks and safeties are going to be tested, and I think that's where they fail. Just, close game, but I think that's where they fail. Could be the complete opposite. I'm going against what I had originally said, and I don't love it, but we'll see come, Thursday morning. Going into the next game on Thursday, obviously, the Rose Bowl. Big bowl. The granddaddy of them all, right? Alabama, Indiana, playing in the Rose Bowl. And I don't think we've said this. Don't think this would have been on your bingo card at the start of the year at all, especially being Indiana being number 1 and Alabama being the 9 ranked seed. Complete opposite of what these two programs are. Alabama being the best program ever in college football history versus the literal worst program in college history. And they flip-flopped. 3 o'clock on Thursday, Rose Bowl. They're going to battle it out. I can't wait for this game. I know I said Texas Tech Oregon game is probably going to be the best game of the week. I think this one's a close second because, man, it's gonna be a test for this Indiana defense against Ty Simpson and throwing the ball, but it's also going to be a test for that Ty Simpson led offense and what they can actually do. Can they run the ball? Can Jam Miller get going? Can Ryan Williams actually make a difference in the passing game?
Can he catch a ball?
Yeah, it's does that happen, or does this become a defensive game like when Indiana played Ohio State and first person to score 13 points wins?
I'll tell you what about this game. I'd say this could be the upset.
Could be.
of the week. I think this is the most likely to happen.
Ooh. Ooh.
Tyson gonna have to get going with the run game. I don't even
True.
know what to say about that. I mean, the run game's just a run game.
Yeah.
But I tell you what, Indiana, they've played well this year. I'll say
Hmm.
Mendoza got a little. I've seen some people question his play. A
True.
lot of people talk about his passing
A lot
touchdowns,
of people have.
and they
Yeah.
said that in some of the big games, I think he's thrown 6 touchdowns, 5 INTs, and the other 27 or 28 of them have came against bad schools.
True.
He's got a little. I don't know what the exact number is between the ranks like with schools and everything, but
It's insane difference. That's all I can tell you. I don't know the exact number, but
it is. But again, this is an interesting game to watch. I don't really. I couldn't tell you. I would tell you, and if I would, I would tell you Indiana's going to win this game and cover. Actually, I'll tell you this. I would be lying if I said that. I said that wrong. I mean, if I was, a betting man, I would take Alabama plus a 7. But I don't. I couldn't tell you this game's going to go, man. I really can't. Like,
true.
I'm so lost on even what to say about this because this could go so many different ways with
Yeah.
either Indiana doing doing what they do, beat Alabama by the 7 points or win the
Hmm.
game. Alabama shows up and Jam Miller, out of completely no
Could
man's
be.
land, decides to run the football. I mean, I don't really know what to say about this game. I mean,
True.
I
I
was
think it's surprising that Indiana is favored by 7 points. Not demoting Indiana in any way. They are a great football team. I think they could win the national championship. But I think it's surprising because
it's
even though
Alabama.
Alabama's running game might not be what it should be, it's still Alabama. I don't care. I don't care who you put up against them. I'm still saying that they could win a football game because they know how to win them. I know it's a different coach. It's not Nick Saban out there. If it was Nick Saban, this would be completely different. But
McKinley
still,
Moore.
this Alabama team has showed that they can win big games. They can win the games they need to. They came back against Oklahoma, 17 points. 17 points. They should have lost that game. People counted them out. They didn't think anything could happen.
A lot
They
of people
come
just
back and
turned.
win it. Yeah, they came back, win it by 10 points. This Alabama defense is good as well. I think people forget about that. I know they let up those 17 early points to Oklahoma, but then they held them to 7 for basically the rest of the 3 quarters. Held them to 7 points. Did everything they needed to win the football game. This Alabama defense is good. This Indiana defense is great too. But this Indiana offense has shown flaws. It has. It's shown flaws early in games. They have come out flat at times against teams that they really shouldn't have come out flat to. We saw it in the Ohio State game. They came out flat basically the whole game. They didn't do anything until late.
Penn
If they
State.
do that, oh yeah, well yeah, and Penn State being the game that probably shouldn't have happened the way it did, and they came out flat and couldn't score in that game either. We've seen it happen with this Indiana offense. They have guys. Fernando Mendoza's great. Surratt's great. I know what is it Cooper that's just coming back? Omar Cooper, I think their other wide receiver. I believe maybe I'm just completely off on that name. Easily could be as well. But their second wide receiver is healthy and going to be back for this game. So that's a big add for Indiana. But again, we've seen them come out flat. We've seen them start slow. We've also seen Alabama do the exact same thing. So who knows? Maybe both teams do it. Then we get on a train and start scoring every other play. Or maybe it's a defensive game and somebody wins at 13-10. Either way, both defenses are going to have to show out. Both offenses are going to have to show out. But specifically, Alabama's going to have to run the ball. Fernando Mendoza for Indiana is going to have to make plays. And it's going to have to, I think, throw some touchdown passes. I think that's where if you're going to beat Alabama here, man, I can't even say that's where you would beat them because you saw against Oklahoma. But I think that's it. Fernando Mendoza running could be a big key in this game if he can get out of the pocket. We saw what We saw what Mateer did early in the game with Oklahoma. He was running all over them. We did see that's where they got Alabama, though, on those deep passes. I think that's where, if you're Indiana, you're going to have to beat them. Curt Cignetti is going to have his squad ready. I think they're going to show up. They might come out a little flat, but they will show up, and they're going to be ready for this Alabama team. Kalen DeBoer, same thing. He's going to be ready for this team. And just like you said, I could easily see this game going to Alabama. Could easily see it. Just because that's who they are. And being 7-point underdogs, they could definitely cover that. At the same time, though, Curt Cignetti, man, with what he's done this year and how they've looked, I can't go against him. So if I were to pick a winner for this game, as much as I think Alabama can win it, Indiana, I think, pulls it off. What do you think?
I'm on the same boat. Like, this feels like I think it was like Alabama Oklahoma last week. Like when I was picking that one, I was in the same boat.
Yeah.
I feel the same way here. I'm like, the thing is, like, Alabama, it's just Alabama. Like, the thing is, they've shown up when they needed to. They did last week in the game. Like, and Kalen DeBoer knows how to win games. Right, you're right.
Exactly.
No one will ever be Nick Saban. But he can win games.
Yeah. He can.
I think Fernando Mendoza has this is his game. I think he shows up. He has his game. I think the Indiana defense shows up. I think they beat Alabama. I'm not going to say cover the spread, but I think they'll beat Alabama. I think they'll win by 4.
Yeah, it'll be, man, I know I said this about all the games so far, that they will be close, but it's kind of just the case. I think all these games will be, that game specifically, I think will be, it might be a defensive game. It might not be. Who knows? We'll see. I'll definitely be watching it. That's for sure. But again, I think both of us agree. I think Indiana can pull it off just the way they've looked. Going on to the last game, though, on Thursday night, a rematch at that. The only rematch in the second round here. Ole Miss, Georgia. Big game. Sugar Bowl. Man, a rematch from a game that was amazing at the beginning, earlier in the season. And Georgia came back, beat Ole Miss in the fourth quarter, basically just scoring a ton of points in the fourth quarter. And yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see. I think this game will kind of prove if Ole Miss is what they were before they lost Lane Kiffin. Are they still that after? Or has it slightly changed or not? We saw against Tulane. They looked amazing. Team's still running like it should be. Everything's going well. Pete Golding's taking the spot, filling it just as great as anybody could expect him to. At the same time, though, this Georgia team came off their last game they played, SEC Championship, demolishes Alabama, never gives them a chance. This Georgia defense has only gotten better since that game, basically, since the last time they played Ole Miss, and only gotten better. They're one of the best in the nation. They look like they could be the best in the nation defensive-wise. They run to the ball. They get to the ball. They spread out so well. This Georgia team, man, completely different than the team that Ole Miss played earlier. Who knows if that'll be a key difference? But, man, it'll be interesting to see this rematch.
Yeah, I agree. I think Ole Miss offense last week played well. Their offense has really not been an issue. I'll say, I told people at the beginning of the year and even more throughout the season, this Ole Miss defense has gotten better. It really did. I mean, if you look at the last couple of seasons, I think last year, I don't remember their exact ranks. I want to say a couple of years ago, or maybe last year, they're like 125th. I mean, they were just bottom feeders.
It was something low, that's for sure.
But this year they've got a new and improved defense.
Yeah.
Slight problem though. Georgia's just gotten better and better and better throughout the season. Gunnar Stockton's played better.
They have.
Offense has gotten better. Another issue: the defense has gotten better of Georgia. I mean,
yeah.
Ole Miss is very capable of winning this game, no question. But this Georgia team has just improved. Kirby Smart has got these guys fixed up. He has gotten them ready to play. And that's all that can be said for that. I mean...
Yeah. Yeah, I think Ole Miss is a good team. We saw that their offense is still there. Kewan Lacey's still the same. Trinidad's still the same. That team in itself is still the same team. It can still go win this football game. It can still do the same thing that they did against Georgia the first time. They could. The difference being, though, I don't think it will. I don't think they will. I don't think this game will be the same as last time. I don't think it'll be as high scoring as it was. This Georgia defense has stepped up their game. Ever since that game, they've stepped it up. That's the thing they've been working on for Georgia. And Kirby Smart is going to get his guys ready for this game. He's going to have that defense ready for all the little quirks and weird moves and sets and schemes that Ole Miss is going to throw at him. I think he's going to have this defense ready. And I think that's the difference. I think that's the main difference that I see in this rematch is the Georgia defense being so good now. Earlier in the year when they played, that was the question. Could they hold Ole Miss? And they didn't for the longest time until the fourth quarter. I think this game is going to be the complete opposite. I think Ole Miss can win it, yes. And could they cover the 6.5? For sure. But I think a little bit of the Lane Kiffin effect, him leaving, as much as I love Pete Golding and what he's done at Ole Miss so far and what he could do, I think it kind of wears out for them. I think if they get down quick, I don't think they have what it takes to get back into it, per se, because of how good this Georgia defense is. And I know, like you said, this Ole Miss defense is great too. And we've seen this Georgia offense come out flat a little bit as well. It's another team like Indiana who we've seen come out a little bit slow and not score a ton of points in the first half. So it could possibly be that. But the last time we saw Georgia play, man, they put up 21 in Alabama quickly, and they didn't let that up. They didn't let Alabama have a chance, and people thought that Alabama could win that game. So, who do you think? I'll ask you first. Who do you think is going to win this game?
Well, I'm going to stick to who I think is going to win a national championship. I'm still going to stick to Georgia. The thing is this. It's like I like to look at it like this. We look at March Madness, and of course different sport and everything. But when I'm making a selection for a team, I'm looking at who's gotten hot and who's just playing good.
True.
To me, Georgia is that team. They've gotten hot. They've played well. Ole Miss is a great football team. They're improved. Yeah. They're a much improved football team. No questions asked. They're much better. The thing is, Georgia defensively has gotten better. I think they're gonna cause disruption. I think Trinidad Chambliss can have a hard time. And I think defensively they're gonna get I think they'll hold in. Ole Miss will, but I think Gunnar Stockton's gonna work his way around the defense. I think they're gonna just keep moving the ball down the field after a time, and it's just gonna get better. For Georgia, yep. I just don't think Ole Miss is going to be able to win this game. I just think Georgia's been playing too well. They've gotten too hot. I think they're just a better team.
And nothing bad going against Ole Miss at all. But I think if any game could be a blowout, I think this one could be. At least the biggest margin of who wins, I think this one could be. And again, nothing against Ole Miss. They looked amazing against Tulane, and Pete Golding will probably have his team ready to play just as good as that. And they can. We all know they can. They have the offense too. Their defense played good. They can do it. But like you said, man, this Georgia team, they're looking different. And I think they won a national championship again. They won another one. And I think this team can do it. Not my pick to win the national championship, unlike you, but they could definitely do it. I could see it. And I think that it's who I'm going to have to go with. As much as I'd love to see Ole Miss kind of win this game and then potentially win a national championship without Lane Kiffin, which would be the biggest storyline of all of college football, I think it wears out here. I think it runs out and they get beat by Georgia. I can't really say that Georgia's going to cover, but we'll see. Could be a close game, could not be. All these games could be the same way. They could be close. They could not be. It'll be a great game. It'll be a great 2 days of college football. I think these round 2 matchups are all amazing. We'll be watching all of them that I possibly can, as much as I possibly can, and we'll see what happens. It'll be interesting. And then before we know it, come January the 8th, a week from now, we'll have, the third round, the semifinals. So it'll be interesting to see all these games. We'll see, we'll have storylines after these games, and what has happened. But yeah, I think that's all we're going to cover today in the time that we have. Obviously, like I said, go watch all the college basketball games that we pointed out for this week. Conference play starts. It's amazing to watch. Go watch them. Keep your eye on the transfer portal. Obviously, like we said, it opens the 2nd. Will be interesting to see as well with those teams playing in the playoffs. If any of those players kind of, enter after or whatever. Keep your eye on that. See who else enters and see where people go. And then obviously, college football playoffs. Go watch them. Go have a great time and watch some great games. And we'll see what happens. Those happen Thursday. We will not, more than likely, have an episode Thursday. I know we said it last week about this Monday, but we don't think we'll have an episode Thursday because we're going to be watching college football playoff games. Don't know when the next episode will be, whether we'll try to get one out before next Monday or it'll just be next Monday. We'll keep you all updated. Go follow us on everything we possibly can, whatever you're watching this on. And, have a great week.